Good evening. I'd like to call the reorganization meeting of the Board of School Directors to order. At this time, I will take roll call. The following are members of the Board of School Directors: Mr. Needleman.
Here.
Mr. DeFranco.
Here.
Dr. Etlin.
Here.
Mrs. Green.
Here.
Mrs. Hubley.
Here.
Mrs. Hughes.
Here.
Mrs. Slapinski.
Here.
Dr. Taratusky.
Here.
Mr. Bedard.
Here.
At this time, I'd like to ask everyone to stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I am confirming that notices of the reorganization meeting were sent to each of the board members on December 1st of 2022 in compliance with the PA School Code. Pursuant to section 402 of the Pennsylvania Public School Code of 1949, as amended, you were informed that the reorganization meeting of the School District of Springfield Township Board of School Directors would be held on Tuesday, December 7th, 2022 at 7 p.m. in the Freeze Memorial Lobby of Springfield Township High School, 1801 East Paper Mill Road, Erdenheim, PA. The agenda for the meeting would include the election of the president and vice president of the Board of School Directors. The notice of the reorganization meeting was also advertised in the Intelligencer December 4th, 2022. At this time, I see that there were no in-person signups for comments on public agenda items for this meeting. Are there any questions or comments online at this time?
I see none. Pardon me.
Okay,
No, I see none.
at this time, there are no public comments. At this time, we're taking nominations for temporary president. Are there nominations for temporary president?
I nominate Dr. Karen Taratusky.
Are there any other nominations for temporary president? Seeing none, I'm going to roll call each seated board member to cast a note for nominee of their choice, which is Dr. Karen Taratusky. Mr. Needleman.
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco.
Aye.
Dr. Etlin.
Aye.
Mrs. Green.
Aye.
Mrs. Hubley.
Aye.
Mrs. Hughes.
Aye.
Mrs. Slapinski.
Aye.
Dr. Taratusky.
Aye.
Mr. Bedard.
Aye.
As the nominations are closed and Dr. Taratusky is the only candidate nominated, I move for Dr. Taratusky election be acclamated for president, for position of temporary president. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
At this time, I will turn the meeting over to Dr. Taratusky.
Good evening. At this time, are there any nominations for president?
There are.
Are there any nominations for president of the board?
There are.
Okay,
I nominate Mr. Jeffrey.
okay. Are there any other nominations for president at this time? Being as Jeffrey Bedard is the only candidate nominated, I move for election by acclamation for the position of president. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Mr. Bedard, you can return to your seat as president.
Thank you, Dr. Taratusky. I've forgotten how comfortable that seat was. Appreciate the vote of confidence. Are there nominations for vice president for this calendar school year?
I nominate Mr. Michael.
Are there any other nominations for vice president? Okay, hearing that there are no other nominations and Mr. Needleman is the only candidate nominated, I move for election by acclamation for the position of vice president. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very well, Mr. Needleman will assume vice president for another term. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for the vote of confidence, everyone.
Awesome. I appreciate everyone in the audience. This is a very ceremonial and procedural meeting, and we are almost wrapped. Are there any comments from the board on the changes this evening?
I just want to say congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Any other comments from the board?
I do appreciate the work that you and Mike have done this year in leading the board, and happy to see you both in these positions again. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one comment, which is, for many reasons, we believe consistency has been a pretty important thing as we've gone through tumultuous times with the world around us. And one of the things that we're going to do is keep the committees also quite consistent this year. We do have one change in committee seats that I just want to make sure I communicated for the group, which is Mr. DeFranco is going to be stepping onto the property committee meeting, property committee. He currently represents Parks and Recreation on behalf of the board, and there'll be great synergies bringing property committee and Parks and Recreation together, so you can share the point of view back and forth, which means Ms. Slapinski will be moving to academic affairs. I learned just today that Ms. Slapinski has served on every committee except for academic affairs, and this will be a great opportunity for you to leave your lasting mark on the school. So I appreciate you stepping up for that. Very good. Dr. Yannicone, any comments for this meeting?
I'll just echo Mrs. Slapinski's congratulations to both you and Mr. Needleman. And thank you both for being willing to serve as president and vice president in these voluntary service roles to the district. So thank you very much.
Of course. And then we'll open up for any comments from the public if we've had any signups or any raised hands.
I see no one has signed up in public, and I see no hands raised online.
Okay, seeing none, we will adjourn this reorganization meeting on December 7th, 2022. And again, I appreciate the vote of confidence and look forward to serving the district. Thank you. We'll close that.